Not a bit, not a bit.
I know we set up a lot of bits with not a bit, and then we'll be like, oh, who?
And then what? Waylon's not wearing pants.
Joe Biden, what are you doing here to do stand-up?
Yeah.
This is not a bit.
It's not a bit.
We recently lost a member of the Tournament of Nerd family, and here to talk about her and pay tribute is her husband, Roger Barr.
You guys are going to have to bear with me. It's going to be a bit hard to get through. And I hate to be a downer on this show. This show matters a lot to me. And my name's Roger, for those who don't know. I've been in the Tournament of Nerds since pretty much the beginning. I was here. My very first show was about 10 years ago when my friend Nort told Justin and Hal about the biggest nerd he's ever met and how they simply had to include me in the show. I had already attended a bunch of the nerd shows at the time, and after being introduced to Justin and Hal, they took a chance on me and added me to the roster. I didn't think I'd make it past the first round in my shows. I was nervous as hell that night. Again, I'd been to these shows and I'd been through UCB training and all that, but these were people that I really admired and judges I admired and everything. And in my first show, I debated on behalf of Freddy Krueger, wearing my normal clothes with just a razor glove. Because for those of you guys who weren't here back then we didn't really do a lot of costume stuff at all. I mean, wearing a glove was kind of crazy at the time, believe it or not. I somehow made it to the final round, and I ended up losing to NBC's canceled show, The Cape. Because of course I did. But something magical happened that night. One of my childhood heroes, Rowdy Roddy Piper, was one of the judges, and he voted for me in all 3 rounds. And afterwards he told me he thought I should have won the whole thing and couldn't believe it. And it felt like a validation of everything I had worked for in all my UCB courses, and just proving that I should have been here in this show. And I was hooked on the Tournament of Nerds ever since then. And it's honestly been an absolute honor performing with so many talented people since. As the years went by, the show evolved, as did many of our performances. Myself and a bunch of the other nerds, we started going all out on getting into our characters, and we essentially turned the show into a monthly cosplay comedy. It was like Halloween every month, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the crazy costumes that were here. And that's where my wife, Marie, really comes into the story. She helped elevate my performances to another level. She always encouraged me to perform in the show and to do whatever was necessary in order to get into character. But she became a much bigger part of it. Just like in films, there's a lot, the stars get all the credit because they're on stage or on the screen, but there's writers and the people on the crew and everything who don't really get the same kind of glory and stuff. That's kind of what Ree was to the show. She was an artist and one of the most incredibly talented, creative minds I've ever known. So she started helping me create costumes for each of my performances. It started out small, but years later I was finding myself dressed as Data from the Goonies with a retractable boxing glove that would actually spring out, as Bob Ross with a full set of paints and an easel, as Gollum in a fully hand-painted bodysuit showing his skeletal and muscular structure. That was all her. Russ Cole with a screen-accurate tattoo drawn on my forearm with one of her eyebrow pins, and it looked legit. She also did Fabio, where we had hand-carved erotic book titles in the foreground with huge painted backdrops behind us. And it was just kind of to give you the feeling like you were looking at one of his romance novel covers. And then, of course, as a nightmarish Teddy Ruxpin, complete with a functional tape cassette player in my chest. It was all because of her amazing costume work that I was able to delve deeply into my characters and deliver those performances. they're honestly some of my favorite memories from the show. Just before the shows even happened, like just talking to her about it and planning and all this wonderful stuff. And she wasn't just a saint in how much time she spent encouraging me or designing my costumes. She was a saint because she put up with me the entire week before each show. You see, we mainly get a few minutes of stage time here, but myself and many of the other talented nerds here, we spend a lot of time working on our material and just trying to get everything down to just give you guys some laughs and have a good time. Me, I'm a little bit crazy in that I would actually talk in my character the week leading up to Nerd just to get my impressions down right. So you can imagine her having to deal with, like Alan Rickman from the hello, Burry, can we go to Ralph's? Just that kind of thing, but all week long. So she was really a saint. She was. Now comes the hard part. The reason I've been gone so long is last November, sorry, Marie, she ended her lifelong battle with clinical depression by taking her life. See, she was the love of my life. And, I'm beyond devastated. I don't understand, how I'm in a world that she's no longer a part of. A world where I can't share all these wonderful laughs and adventures with my favorite person, my love, my best friend. I don't understand why I now have to wear her wedding rings around my neck rather than stand by her side and hold her. I'm no longer the same person. The reality is 2 people died that day, There's me before it happened and there's me after, and I feel like a ghost, I do. But I'm here again because I want to talk to all of you about depression, because it's what she would have wanted me to do. And in the world of comedy, we all know depression is very prevalent, and it's, just look at Robin Williams, he saw depression in so many people, and he just wanted to make them laugh, and that's kind of what Ree was like. Depression is an awful disease, and having spent over 20 years of my life with Ree, I saw how often it clouded her mind and it lied to her. She was so incredibly brave in her fight against her depression and social anxiety, from trying medications and therapies to exercising and eating healthy, and so much more. Her entire life, she confronted all of it head on in a fearless manner, and I couldn't be more proud of her. I admire her so much, and I still do, and I always will. The fact is, Ree was and is my hero. She was the strongest person I've ever known, a hell of a lot stronger than I am, and she was everything I ever aspired to be, and she made me a better person. She really did. But depression is a ruthless liar. All too often, it clouded her mind and made her believe she wasn't a good person, or cared about, or worthy of love. It made her believe she was... It made her believe she was a burden rather than worthy of love. It made her believe she was a burden rather than beloved. It's a disease that lies and ruins lives. It's no different than cancer. And just like cancer, it's a disease that needs to be fought, not only by those afflicted with it, but by their friends and families. Suicide and depression have such a stigma associated with them, and we all need to be willing to talk about these subjects openly. That's the only way those who struggle with severe depression are going to get the help they really need. Think about it. This is a disease that makes those people afflicted with it, they feel so lonely as it is. Just imagine how lonely these people feel with depression when they believe they can't even talk about it with their friends and loved ones. And honestly, it's up to us. It's up to friends and family to bring it up. Because those who struggle with depression often don't have the strength to do so. Sometimes it's a victory just to get out of bed for them. That's the truth. So, You know, if you know somebody who struggles with it, or you even suspect they do, just check in with them, see how they're doing, see if there's anything you can do to help, and above all else, listen to them. And I mean, really listen. Don't just be there, you know, halfway. You got to be there the whole way. That's what friendship is about. In our 20+ years together, Ree and I talk constantly about her struggles with the disease. And now that she's gone, I'm left with what ifs. What if I had done this? What if I had done that? Always wondering what more I could have done to save the love of my life. You know, you can say what you will, but I'll always believe this is the most devastating failure of my life. I believed it was my purpose to keep her alive with my love, and I failed to do so. That's something I have to learn to live with, and it's something I have to carry with me, and hopefully I can somehow help other people along the way and make her proud. I've spent over 7 months writing a long story about Ree because I wanted the world to see just how amazing, warm, talented, creative, beautiful, and loving she was in life. I wanted the world to understand just how much devastation the disease of depression can cause, regardless of how truly wonderful or successful a person is. And we've all seen, you know, a lot of successful people, you know, dealing with the same thing in recent times. It's obviously been in the news. I wanted to share what I've been going through during that time so people could understand the collateral damage that depression and suicide does as well. And I wanted to share the things I've been doing to honor her memory since she passed. Now, as much as I'd like to read that story to all of you tonight, it would take up the entire show to do so, and that's not what the show is about. We're here to have fun tonight, and you know, I'm sorry to be the one bringing it down for a bit with some reality, but we'll get back to the fun soon. So I'd like all of you to save the URL that's on that screen there, this i-mockery, i-mockery.com/Ree. That's where the story that I wrote about her is. You don't have to read it tomorrow, just whenever you have time to do it. And especially if you or somebody you know struggles with depression, suicidal thoughts, or loss, it would mean a lot to me, and I really hope it would mean a lot to all of you after you read it. In closing, I've always considered myself very lucky to have an outlet like this show, where I can make people laugh while performing alongside so many other hilarious, talented, wonderful, genuinely kind people, debating on behalf of all the ridiculous things we're into. As a comedy writer who spends most of his time in solitude behind a computer screen, I can't tell you how nice it's been to be able to get out and perform all these years. To the judges and the audience, please understand just how much love and work all these performers put into the show. There's very little reward as far as, you're not necessarily getting paid or, TV shows or anything. We're doing this for the love of it. We just love doing the show, and that's why the show has stood the test of time for 10 years. If the judges were here, I would tell them, take this into consideration, when you're casting your votes. Just keep in mind just how much work these guys and women, everyone just puts into this. So, yeah, I know why you're laughing. I'm laughing with you. I've made many wonderful friends here. In a way, the Tournament of Nerds and UCB itself has become my West Coast family. I feel very lucky to have friends like you, and I feel lucky to have been able to share all these experiences with all of you, and with Ree. I'll forever be thankful to Justin and Hal for including me in this wonderful show, and I'm so proud of all the work we've done together over the years. I hope I'll be up for performing in it again someday, and I really miss making all of you laugh. I really do, and I miss laughing with all of you guys. Until then, please keep Ree in your hearts, take care of your loved ones, and let's get back to having some laughs in the show tonight. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks for supporting myself in the Tournament of Nerds for 10 wonderful years. And in closing, I'm going to have Casey, she's going to play a video of Ree. Again, Ree has social anxiety, and one of the main things that she would do to combat it is she would do things that made her incredibly uncomfortable. She took classes here, she took singing lessons one-on-one. She not even a trained singer or anything. She would just do it for the fun, just to push herself further, and that's why I was always so proud of her. So every now and then, when she built up the courage, she would ask me, can we just record a little song? So this is one of her videos.
I need someone, a person to talk to, someone who cares and love. Could it be you?
She was an amazing person, and I really hope you guys will visit that URL sometime and read a little bit more about her and just see how much she meant. And there's more videos like that. So, again, everyone, Justin and Hal, everyone, thanks so much for listening, and let's get back to having some laughs.